So this week I had the pleasure of working in a focus group with a particular line of business. And amongst other things like leadership training, up trainings, I have the privilege of working on some specialized product or projects like focus groups. And I will say, working with this particular line of business and the managers that belong to this line of business really gave me so much insight, because first and foremost we had focus groups with their teams, and then we did the managers had their own focus group. And I will say there is nothing more powerful than hearing a team speak about their leaders, and not only just how they feel supported and how the leaders will go to bat to them, but instill incredible work ethic, value just across in their teams. And what I noticed when I was talking to these individuals, these teams, that they just sang their managers' praises. And another thing that I noticed was that these individuals, even though we were, it's a problem-solving focus group, that these people, these agents, cared so much about what they do. And it wasn't about that the job was misaligned with what they even truly feel as their core values as people, and why they're in the role and why they wanted to stay in the role. But it has everything to do with some of the things that are misaligned, that are really not within their control so much. It really is just about the things that are happening around this role, around this position, that could be tightened up to give this line of business an opportunity to really flourish in the way that it's intended to. But I mean, my God, it was just to hear the passion that came from these teams and how highly they spoke about their managers. It really just solidified the importance of being the type of manager who is integral. And we got a chance to speak to the managers. The managers were our very last focus group of the week. And even in their own focus group, they talked about ways and how, of course, it can be improved. But it was almost like they got a sense of pain even having to complain or, express different things that are pretty much out of their control. But how they express just even getting the things that are already in place working well, how that could really impact them in their jobs. And so, man, I'm still thinking about it today, because how many of us have the luxury of showing up to a job every single day that we actually enjoy, that we care about the outcome? And I have that luxury. I have that luxury of showing up to a job that I care about, and I understand the importance of my job, and I have fantastic leadership in place. I work with a good team. So all of those things make life 100 times better in general. But I have worked in positions where getting up every day and showing up every day was, if I got to that job, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. But I think we can all identify with being in a position like that, where it just pains you to open your eyes to think about docking those doors. And I think even though we all work within the same company, there are people, individuals who experience this. They experience just that feeling of, my gosh, we're doing this again today. We're here again today. It's the same thing day in, day out. And not because, I don't even think it's because the work is not fulfilling. I think it's just because there's a lot of things that go into it. I think the leadership, the type of expectations, and the type of the things that are in place, the measurements that are in place, of the measurements of success, progress, things like that are in place that are keeping people from feeling like they're able to do what they really have to do. But then also the leadership. I don't think that the leadership is really instilling anything in them except do this, meet this metric, meet this goal. And as long as you're meeting this metric, this goal, then I'll stay off your back. But if you're not, I'm going to ride you until the cows come home, kind of deal. And so these focus groups really just established everything that I already knew, because so many times we're just worried about the metrics, the measurements, the goals, the outcomes, the bottom line. But if we don't fix the people issue, if we don't fix what's going on with the people that we're asking to produce, then you're never going to see the true coming alive of your team, where they're self-sufficient. They're self-sufficient in the way where it's not the same kind of song and dance where you're trying to keep them motivated, trying to keep them going, and trying to get them to hit these goals consistently. But when you actually pour into them, you develop them, you give them insights, and you work with them, and you encourage them, and you let them know that they're valued, it's like the team almost functions on its own, and you are there to just ensure that things are happening, that if things need to be addressed, that need the manager's attention, that need a management level attention, that you are there to address them. But so much of this happens on a people level. And don't get me wrong, numbers are important. But if you don't take time to invest in your people, kiss the numbers goodbye. You might have some wins. Are you going to feel good about the wins? Are you going to feel strong about the wins? Do you feel like people are growing? Do you feel like they're developing? Do you feel like they are actually interested in just where they are right now? Do they feel as though, is it just, it's another day. It's another day. And some people have different motivations. So some people might be very motivated by, money, that's a valid motivation. But a lot of other people are motivated by different things. And so there's nothing wrong with being motivated by money, but there's also, you have to be able to drive results in a different kind of way as well. Because you think even the people who their number one concern would be money still have a number 2 and 3 concern. And I'm one to believe that everybody wants to get something out of their job. And I really just appreciated how much time and dedication, especially one manager that stuck out to me, I think stuck out to most of us who were facilitating these focus groups, was their ability, because they went through ELP, the Emerging Leadership Program. Even though they've been a manager for a long time, we do allow managers to sit in on the ELP program. if they would like. And I think that's good. I think that's great. They want to be able to get some additional training. They want to be able to sit and participate and just kind of focus on leadership things. And I will say that of the managers that have come through the ELP program, this person just was a shining star in the sense where the way that they participated, they showed up present and engaged and contributed very meaningfully, because a lot of times the majority, and when I'm saying the majority, 99.9% of the people that are going through the emerging leadership program are not in manager roles yet. They might be subject matter experts. They might be people who have covered before, but they're still not quite in management. Some of them get promoted while they're in ELP, which is great. And even then, they're still new to leadership. So it is very special to have managers sit in and be engaged participants. And this manager in particular has worked their butt off to implement the things that we talked about during the program. And when you're a manager, that's not something you have to do, sure. And especially that they've been leading for such a long time. I'm sure they have their own ways and their own kind of rhythm for leading people. But to see them sit in an ELP program, take what they learned and implement it, and then hear the feedback from their team. I mean, any person in leadership would want to hear all of the wonderful things that their team said about them, and then how their team showed up, engaged, problem solvers, strategic thinking, being solution oriented. And I think that's a lot to do with their role and what they do, but so being solution oriented, wanting the ability to be able to increase in some aspects of the role, but not just asking for them to be increased, but asking for things to be put in place so they can earn their way to it. Because a lot of people, they just want the additional, they just want the extra, they want the increase without necessarily having to do anything to earn it. And depending on whatever scenario it is, I am a person, pay the people and pay them well. Because if people are not thinking about money, if they're not thinking about how they're going to pay their bills, if they're not thinking about how they're going to put food on the table, get gas in their car, keep a roof over their head, and pay for daycare, I think that solves a lot of problems. And then at that point, you can focus on the real things. Like, it goes back to the, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The basic needs. People need their basic needs met in order to be able to even think about performing or think about doing extra, showing up in a different kind of way. Some people might naturally do that, but a lot of people, just having their basic needs would allow them to, needs met would allow them to show up in ways that would really change the trajectory of their careers. And so, the amount of integrity and accountability, and I really appreciated that the managers are talking about, well, we don't want to feel like we're complaining, because they want to be able to work cross-functionally well and be team players. But unfortunately, that's not happening on all sides where their department is impacted. But to hear and really truly be around, because I'm used to working in an environment where people work and collaborate as a team. We're constantly bouncing things off of each other. We're all pretty passionate about what we do and understand the importance of what we do. So I am very much used to working in an environment, but to come across another department who equally has the same, from person to person to person, has that same amount of passion for helping each other, helping people, helping the customer, and loving what they do, and feeling really aligned at a core level with their positions, and not even wanting to go anywhere else. And a lot of them taking kind of that hit of not making as much as they could if they were in a different role, because they love what they do. And so we really owe it to, and a lot of that goes back to the types of leaderships that they have, and we really owe it to our people, the people that we lead on a regular basis, to be those types of leaders. And I don't know this leader's relationship with Christ or not, and I don't think it necessarily matters in this context so much, other than just the types of qualities, the types of servant leader, propping your team up, understanding and knowing what their goals and aspirations and motivations are, and helping them get there, helping them visualize it and get there. Being a sounding board, being someone who's accountable and integral and goes to bat, lays their life down for their team. And it's not asking you to be self-sacrificial, but you can't really do that if you're not a healthy leader. Because it's going to feel like it's taking something from you. It's draining you. Because you're not in that place of servanthood. Because leadership is not about sitting at the top and barking orders down. It's so much more than that. You are in servitude to other people. And you owe it to your team to show up as the best version of yourself. And to constantly be in a place of auditing, where you are able to look and reflect and see where you've missed the mark, or where maybe you've improved, and you keep building. You keep building, because that's how you retain your top talent. Because I'm sure that they have top tier talent in this department. And a lot of these people have stuck around because of leadership. And that is powerful. That's the kind of influence you can have on people. Sometimes we don't look at it as changing lives or even saving lives, honestly. I've talked about this before on my own channel. And some of my other videos, that, having quality leaders, having leaders who cared about me, cared about my goals and aspirations, even when I had no confidence in myself. They knew I could do something and pushed me towards it. That saved me. And it started the journey to the inner work. Because I'm like, well, they see something in me that I don't see yet. Or I don't feel yet. So why don't I feel it? Why don't I see it? And that started me on a trajectory of really starting to get down to the root causes. And one domino after the next, one thing after the next, things started to come to light. And if these leaders have this ability to have this kind of effect on people, not knowing if they have any type of relationship with Christ or not. Think about the type of impact you can have being a faith-based, Christ-centered servant leader. Operating in the fruits of the Spirit. So, another random reflection today. I think that's going to be the cadence for now, at least. We'll see if things change in the next few weeks, where I do my teachings throughout the week, and on the weekends I just take time to reflect and share stories like this, share moments, all kinds of moments, because, you know, a lot goes into our journey, and it's great to have teachings and grounding practices, but it's also good to just be able to share the experiences, share the things that are happening real time that can really impact us in real ways. And so I'm going to leave it there. And my name is Tiffany, and here on this channel we are learning to lead ourselves well so we can serve others better. If you have an interest in learning more, getting some more resources and tools, especially if you're an emerging leader or new leader, you can get my Getting Off the Wall, a courage worksheet for emerging leaders in the description box below. Also, if you enjoy content like this, there's a couple ways you can support me. One is sharing the video, liking it, getting it in front of people who are just like yourselves, who need content like this, who love content like this. And another way is you can also just buy me a coffee, and there'll be a link in the description as well if you would like to support that way. But just you being here and you being a part of this journey with me is absolutely amazing. I appreciate each and every single one of you, and we will talk soon. Bye-bye.